Welcome everybody to Tropical Weather Update. It's about 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on August 29th, 2023, and this is an update related to Hurricane Idalia. I did a video yesterday. Nothing has changed with the track of Idalia. The forecasters have got it spot on. The model runs from early yesterday are the same as the ones today. We're not even going to go over the models because they're all in agreement. This storm is going to stay off the coast of Tampa, which is great news for the Tampa Bay area, and stick with its original plan to hit the Big Bend of Florida as a major hurricane. The good news is it has not yet strengthened into a major hurricane, but the forecast is it still has plenty of time before landfall early tomorrow, and all indications are is that it will strengthen and rapidly strengthen when it moves into even warmer waters of the northern Gulf of Mexico, and there's nothing to stop it from strengthening until it actually makes landfall. So interest in this area, this is an emergency basically. There's a chance it might not strengthen to a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, but it likely will. And we're going to go over today, the most important thing is the storm surge in this area. This is the most vulnerable part of the state of Florida when it comes to storm surge. It is not one of the more populated areas, but there are cities in this area. If you live in this area and you are under an evacuation order and you are on this map that I'm going to show you, you need to leave now. You will be underwater for sure. Even if the storm doesn't become a Category 4, I'll even show you the Category 1 and 2 storm surge risk in this area, and it's not good. So anyway, let's start out real quickly with the satellite photo. Well, let's go back to the original thing. As you can see here, this is the 5 p.m. coordinates. It now has 100-mile-an-hour sustained wind, so it is slowly strengthening from a wind speed standpoint, and it's moving north, which is good for Tampa. It hasn't yet started to move to the north-northeast yet, but it will eventually. But I think Tampa is now out of the woods for a direct strike by this storm. So that is great news. Doesn't mean they're not going to receive impact, and there's probably already some storm surge flooding in some low-lying areas in Tampa, but they're not going to get the brunt of the storm. It is going to go to the Cedar Key area, Steinhatchee area. Let's look at it on a satellite view. It's definitely more organized than it was yesterday, but you're still not seeing a center or an eye. You're not seeing an eye that you can see through. Therefore, the storm is not yet a strong hurricane. Hurricanes, when they become strong, you will actually be able to see through the eye, as we've seen on many satellite photos in the past of really strong hurricanes. But it certainly still has 100-mile-an-hour winds. It's nothing to fool around with. Aircraft have found those winds within the storm and extrapolated it to the surface. But looking at this satellite presentation, it has not yet become a major hurricane. But it still's got a lot of time to go, and I predict by tomorrow morning we will see a very nice presentation on this satellite with a large eye and eye wall. That's what most of the forecasters believe. But if you can see this right now, it does not yet have that type of characteristic of a severe hurricane. Looking at the discussion, it says the first stages of an eye have been taking shape in visible satellite imagery, so it is working on becoming stronger. It is moving faster to the north. They did move the estimate of the eye making landfall and shifted it westward. So again, that's good news for Tampa, but bad news for the panhandle of Florida and the Big Bend area of Florida. So they shifted it westward for about 20 to 25 nautical miles, although it should be stressed that additional shifts to the track will be possible until the center reaches land. So there will be jogs to the left and right, but if anything, this storm is making a more of a westward shift than an eastward shift, although not by that much. But interests throughout the panhandle of Florida now really are in the crosshairs of this storm, while the risk for the Tampa Bay area of a direct strike is very low. Now let's look at why I really am doing this video, and that's the storm surge. This is the storm surge map for a Category 3 hurricane, and this might be stronger than a Category 3, but for a Category 3 hurricane in this area of the state of Florida. Cross City, Cedar Key area, Steinhatchee area. So what I'm going to do, this red area is not the ocean. This is actual land. Okay, this red starts at the beginning of the landmass of the state of Florida. So I'm going to draw here how far inland the red goes. The red is 9 feet above ground, storm surge. I'm just going to draw this here because I have another map that doesn't have the red on it from Google Maps. And I'm going to show you how far inland this really, there's going to be 9 feet of water, which is more than about 1 story of water. 9 feet plus, greater than 9 feet. So I just drew that on here, okay? Now I'm going to switch this view to a Google map that has about the same, it's about exactly the same as the National Hurricane Center. And you can see the green areas are all land areas. That means if you live in Fish Creek, Steinhatchee, Horseshoe Beach, Shired Island, Suwanee, Cedar Key, Inglis, Crystal River, you're likely to be underwater by tomorrow morning. You need to leave now. I mean, you have to leave. I mean, you will be 9 feet of water. You can't survive that unless you have a 3-story house on stilts. This will be 9 feet underwater without any waves. This is just going to be the tide basically rising 9 feet above whatever the normal tide level is this far inland. I mean, we can look at this map too. It's the same thing. So this is a Google Maps without the satellite view. I mean, you can see some of these places, Fowler's Bluff. And if you go back to this map, now I'm going to erase what I have here because I think I've made my point. I mean, if you zoom in to Steinhatchee, I mean, this is a populated area. There's people here. I've never been to Steinhatchee, but all of this area is going to be underwater. 9 feet of water. All of it. Every single thing you see on this map is going to be under 9 feet of water tomorrow. Now, luckily, I'm not seeing too many populated areas here. Rocky Creek Getaway. Let's look here. Janaloo's Seafood. I mean, all of these areas are likely to be completely submerged in water. Horseshoe Beach, the Shrimp Boat, Horseshoe Point, all this will be completely submerged in water. Suwanee, the entire town of Suwanee will probably be underwater tomorrow. Salt Creek. And then all these areas upstream, up to Cross City, and this is the end of the Suwanee River. It looked like there was going to be flooding all the way up. Of course, it doesn't look like there's too much around that area. Anyway, I mean, depending on where it makes landfall, anywhere to the right of where it makes landfall is going to have the most storm surge, because to the left of where it makes landfall, the winds will be coming offshore instead of onshore, so the water will be pushing away. But I mean, if you live in this area here, and if so, let's say it makes landfall around Fish Creek, I mean, anywhere in here literally could be completely underwater, 10 feet or more underwater. So please take heed to these evacuation warnings if you live in this area, and get out now while you still have time if you haven't already left. Anyway, that's my update. I know a lot of people who do these videos don't cover the storm surge risks to a local level like this, and these hurricane maps from the National Hurricane Center are fantastic. So I wanted to do that to add something to this, because everybody's got videos, and through the Weather Channel and everyone else has. If you're watching this, you probably already know most of this stuff. But the storm surge maps are really shocking almost, and they're very accurate. So take heed to the warnings and get out, because you don't want to be on your roof or in being rescued by the Coast Guard tomorrow because you chose to stick it out in these areas. The wind, it's not going to be a wind problem, although it will be a lot of wind. It's really going to be a flooding problem, and you can't escape floods. I mean, unless you have a 4-story house or something like that. But better to get out of this area and come back in a day or so to see if your house is still there and clean up, rather than stick it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video if you can, and be safe. It's going to be a rough night in this region of Florida, and through tomorrow around noon or 3 in the afternoon. I think it'll be cleared out because the storm's moving fairly quickly. But next 24 hours not going to look too good. Thanks for watching. Take care. Be safe. Have a good one. Bye.